Hey Jared,
Hello.
did you wake up and choose violence today?
Well, I did wake up real early and tried to find medicine and couldn't find it, so I felt very upset about that. But I didn't choose violence when it came to that, so
Hmm.
I guess I did not wake up and choose violence today. I just woke up real early and couldn't go back to sleep.
Well, that sounds terrible.
It was not fun.
Um, um, and so I guess that explains a little bit of why I'm going to be taking some of the reins this week. But we are going to talk a little bit about someone who woke up and chose violence throughout an entire feature film.
That's true.
Um, Here on this week's seasonal anime checkup OVA, I am Doc Al and Ladium.
Mhm.
This is my pal Jared.
Hello.
Hi. This is episode 297 on our road to
Correct.
300. And we are going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the film that came out this year.
Not the video game.
Not the video game that did not come out this year. Um, it sure is a film. It
It yeah.
yeah. So we talked about the first movie, and I don't even know what episode number that was. But it wasn't an
I
episode. It
believe
was it was
it
a
was a
Patreon.
correct, yeah. So if you wanna listen to our thoughts on the first film, sign up for our Patreon and you can find that there.
There we go. Um, and we both were surprisingly like we liked it.
Hmm.
We liked Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the film. It was pretty good. It
I think it helped that we went in with like much lower expectations than we did with this one.
Yeah, because usually video game movies are awful. So I went in with like rock bottom expectations.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, this was fine. This was a fine film. Um, So it says that Paramount announced the sequel to the first film. They announced it in May 2020, which wow. Um, and we've got the cast all back, and they filmed in Hawaii. That makes sense because there's a huge Hawaii sequence.
Yep.
Um, and I guess it's worth noting that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is apparently coming out December 20th, 2024, and there is
But if
a huh?
I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of the like those way out in advance film dates get very moved around a lot.
It
So like
will be.
I wouldn't say that's set in stone, but like that's a general release window you would probably presume.
I would expect that to be 2025. I'll be real with you.
Yeah.
It says this spinoff miniseries is focusing on Knuckles and it's in 2023. We'll see how that goes.
Hmm.
Um, this says many critics consider this film an improvement over its predecessor.
Interesting.
Interesting.
That's a take.
Okay. Wow. Let's talk about some development in this here feature film.
Let's.
By April 2020, Marsden has expressed his interest in a sequel featuring several characters from the video games, including Tails, my favorite, by the way, who appeared in a mid-credits scene in the first film. Director Jeff Fowler also expressed interest in developing a sequel that focused on Sonic and Tails' friendship and further developed Dr. Robotnik. Later that month, Schwartz said that he felt it made sense for Paramount Pictures to not have announced a sequel by the point due to the COVID-19 pandemic, also adding that he was interested in a sequel featuring Tails and a more game accurate portrayal of Robotnik. What does that mean?
Maybe like just a more wild and wacky version, or like a maybe like
Aesthetically?
aesthetically, yeah,
Because he looks aesthetically more like Robotnik
yeah.
now.
They
Anyway,
just didn't put like Jim Carrey in a fat suit or something.
yeah, well, that's probably a good idea.
Well, I guess we're gonna get to that in the next couple sentences.
Later that month, Sonic the Hedgehog co-writer Pat Casey revealed that there had been talks about a sequel, though the film had not been greenlit by Paramount by that point. He also said that Carey was interested in wearing a fat suit in a sequel to more closely resemble Robotnik's video game appearance. Oh my god. Okay. In May, Paramount Pictures confirmed that a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog was in development, with Fowler set to return as director alongside writers Casey and Josh Miller. Does Miller? Yeah. Um, Neil H. Mortiz, Toby Asher, and Toru Nakahara will produce the sequel, having previously co-produced the first film alongside these other folks. They're going to return for the first film as executive producers, or from the first film. Oh, the guy who redesigned Sonic for the first film returned. Good for him. That was a good choice. The film title was announced as Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in February 2021. Inspired. In May, a
Bold
synopsis
choice.
bold choice. In May, a synopsis of the story was released as Paramount submitted a copyright registration to the U.S. Copyright Office catalog. The film is inspired by the video game Sonic the Hedgehog 2 from 1992 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 from 1994, but it is not a direct adaptation of either. How could it be a direct adaptation of either? Fowler described the film as a melting pot of ideas from several Sonic games.
Like Sonic 06.
No, Sonic didn't kiss a human girl in this one.
Yet.
He's
gonna. Sonic 3, baby.
Oh no. I do appreciate that Jim Carrey considers it a challenge to convince people that he has a triple-digit IQ.
Yeah, that sounds like something he would say.
Yep. I'm surprised because I didn't think he was like into sequels anymore, but whatever. We did talk about this a bit. February 2021, it was announced that Jason Momoa was in talks for the role of Knuckles.
It's an interesting choice.
And that is such a choice. Obviously that did not happen.
No.
We ended up getting August 10, 2021. It was announced that Idris Elba, is that how you say his name?
Yes.
He is Knuckles, which I mentioned it while we were watching this, but it was inspired. That was a good choice.
Yeah.
He did a really good job. I will never be able to say this lady's name who did Tails. Is she the one who just voices Tails in general? Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Colleen O'Shaughnessy.
Thank you. So she's Tails. So awesome. Anything else?
Music, because there's some interesting musical choices in this here motion picture.
All right, where do we want to even start with this?
That's a great question. Probably the fact that a lot of the licensed music from this film is not current.
No, it is not. So I think that it's worth mentioning very early on in like the opening sequence, really, we get It's Tricky by Run DMC.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, huh. It's tricky. Okay.
That was kind of the
okay.
That was the first hint at like, oh, huh.
Yeah.
They're doing some things here.
And I like that song. But it seemed very odd.
Yeah.
There are some other inspired choices. Like I said, It's Tricky. Here Comes the Hot Stepper. This Is How We Do It.
This is how we do it.
Thank you. At one point we get a dance sequence to Uptown Funk.
Yeah, which I was like, this song is like what, 8 years old now at this point? 9 years old?
What year did Uptown Funk come out?
Well, that's an easy thing to
2014.
2014, so yeah, 8 years.
God. And I was like, oh, okay. We have Barracuda by Heart.
Which that fit.
It fit.
I mean, it fit, but like it was also a strange choice of like, yeah, this is again.
I was like,
not a current song for a children's movie.
We had Pantera in there.
Yeah.
For like maybe 10 seconds, but still, Pantera.
Dr. Robotnik's like, I need metal. Let me put on Walk by Pantera.
Which is, again, a choice. It is a choice.
And then also they're like taking songs from like other movies.
Oh yeah, you're
apparently.
Right. I didn't even notice that, but I didn't see that movie, so.
Like there's a song from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and there's a song from The Natural in here. It's like, what?
What?
I didn't know movies could do that.
I didn't either.
I mean, I guess it's just licensing music, so I guess it doesn't that's not outside of the realm of possibility, but it still seems strange. Like
Uh,
I think the only actual like current music is like the end credit song, which is like a new song from Kid Cudi.
mhm.
But like outside of that, it's all just like here's a bunch of older stuff, which I guess like I mean it makes sense because like it's a kids movie and like adults are gonna be taking their kids to it
Yeah.
or wanting to put it on for them while they're at home and want their kids to shut up. So like I guess they need some ways to like keep the adults involved, especially with some of the references we see throughout this movie as well that
Yep.
we'll get to later on.
Yep.
But it's also just like weird.
You know what I think is the weirdest song that showed up in this movie?
What's that?
Don't Know Why by Nora Jones. I forgot that song existed, and it's just played while this man's doing like latte art.
Inspired choices.
What is happening there? I'm like, I don't even remember what year that came out. If it was even like somewhat recent. I don't know. When did this come out? 2002.
I mean, sure. Retro song. That makes that song 20 years old, so that fits with the timeline of most of these other songs.
I mean, the other ones are much older. Like,
Well, yeah, I'm saying like it's an older song.
yeah. Um, yeah, it is wild.
Yeah.
Um, I do also appreciate though that they brought back Sonic soundtrack for the ringtones.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. Um, but
That was a fun way to incorporate like actual Sonic stuff into the film.
yeah. Um, but yeah, the music was is wild.
Like I wouldn't say it's like they're bad choices.
No,
It
I'm not
just
saying they were
feels,
bad.
and I wasn't saying that you were saying that either, but like they just feel kind of out of place
Yeah.
in this sort of film. But yeah,
Um, well, you want to talk about the movie? Oh, I guess.
yeah. Let's talk about the film.
Wow, hold on. One second. Um, I forgot to talk about stuff like release dates, but also like the budget was 90 to 110 million and it brought in 405 million.
Yeah, that
Wow.
makes sense.
Wow.
Worldwide total, 10th highest grossing film of 2022. I mean, you have to think as well. Like the first film was what, like the highest grossing film of 2020,
Yeah, I think you're
or like
right.
one of them. Actually, I
Yeah.
can look here real quick. It was the sixth highest grossing movie of 2020.
Wow.
The highest grossing film of 2020 was the Demon Slayer movie,
Um,
which tells you that it was a COVID year because an anime film was the highest grossing film of the year.
that's wild. It did come out April 8th of this year, in the
Hmm.
United States and August 19th. Um, really? It just now came out in Japan? August 19th?
Yeah,
Wow. Also, we have to figure out who Corone was in the
I
movie.
tried looking that up beforehand and I couldn't find anything like any info about if
Anything
they said who
concrete?
she was. Yeah, but she's supposed to be just like a
Side character.
innocuous role, so
Yeah.
you would probably have to be really paying attention to figure that out.
Hmm. I wonder if she's like credited as Corone Inagami or if it's like her actual person.
I would assume they'd have to do that because they
They
probably
don't
don't
want
want
to
to.
dox her.
They don't want to break kayfabe on that.
Yeah.
Hololive would be like, yeah, we're gonna break this relationship with Sega now.
Yeah, I mean that would be a really big way to dox her. Because I'm sure somebody would recognize it even if she used a different voice. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, you want to talk about the movie?
Now let's talk about this movie. I think it's a little less fun than the first film
I completely agree with you.
because I feel like in this one, like they try too hard with some of like the references and gags,
Mm-hmm.
and they really beat you over the head with them at points. That you're just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, all right, come on.
We do get another Fast and Furious reference though,
Yes, we do.
which is wild.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog referencing the Vin Diesel and Rock feud.
Which I sure.
which I thought was funny. I did like how they got Ben Schwartz to do
The
the
worst.
worst.
Yep.
I thought that was a really good like tongue in cheek meta reference.
It was, and it took me a second because I was like, wait a minute. It's
That's him.
That's him. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that is a nod to something that like the adults in the room will get probably.
Yeah.
So that was funny.
I feel like
Um,
a lot of the Sonic references though are going to be like things the adults in the room are going to get rather than children.
yeah.
Like, what child is clamoring about the Vin Diesel Rock feud in the Fast and Furious franchise?
Okay, you know what? You make a solid point there. I'm trying to think of any of the other like nods that really stuck out to me.
I'm also trying to think that, but I have dumb brain right now, so
Yeah, dumb brain.
because I know there's like a ton.
There's a ton. I mean, like that's essentially like 90% of the script is just references to other stuff.
Yeah.
Although you do get a cool scene with a dog and some sunglasses and a tie, and that's pretty
Oh yeah, because
cool.
they do the whole what's that movie called? The Tom Cruise movie where he dances around in his underwear.
Oh, Risky Business.
Yeah, they do that parody essentially.
They do that. He ends up doing a bunch of different like hairstyles, and
Puts the dog in a mohawk.
he does put the dog in a mohawk. Um, yeah,
They
that's
essentially
awesome.
parodied Top Gun with that volleyball scene.
Yeah, I even said like when we were watching, I was like, "Play with the boys."
It would have been better if they had gotten that song to do it.
I agree with you 100%. And I even mentioned I was like it's sufficiently homoerotic too. Like it
Yeah,
hits all the points that you need for that scene, except for that song. They needed that song.
it would have been really funny. They show off the actual like video game costume of Robotnik at one point. It's very brief when
Yeah.
like his dude is like scrolling through costumes for him to wear, but like they do show that off at one point, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I missed that one, but I believe you. Um Also Knuckles just has giant hands.
He does.
They're so big. They're so unnecessarily big.
It's super big.
Super big. Um
They just look so out of place. It's like he's wearing oven mitts, as they said a
oven
lot of
mitts.
times.
Yeah, you said that a few times that he had the oven mitts on. They just look strange. Like everybody else, they have their hands that are, you know, characterized, I guess is a
Hmm.
good way to put it. They've got like the white gloves on. But
They oh sorry, go ahead.
I would say they don't look quite that ridiculous.
No. The coffee place that the one bad guy works at is the Mean Bean Coffee Cafe, which I thought was a very good
That
reference.
was a really good reference. That was a
Like, yeah, let's
really good one.
let's reference Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine of all things.
That made me really happy.
It's pretty good. That one cop references the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters.
Twice.
Things kids talk about.
Yeah, totally. Did you find a list of references?
Yeah,
Neat.
trying to at least.
Thank you.
At least like some of the ones that are just kind of like weird and. Oh, he also says "gotta go fast" at one point.
He does. He does say gotta go
He
fast.
does say that, and it was like we both were like, "He said the
He
thing.
said the thing.
He said the thing." I like how all these are like, "This is possibly a reference to this video game," and it's like,
Possibly.
okay, that's the thing. Oh, they also do they recreate the biplane.
Yes, I was so happy about that.
I thought that was very good.
Because I even
Um,
mentioned like they do a biplane drive by at a wedding in the movie, and I was like, if they
mhm,
don't use that plane like they do in the game, I'm gonna be real upset. And
mhm.
then they did, and I was like, yes.
Also, the manual for the giant robot Robotnik looks like a Sega Genesis cover,
That was really good.
and I thought that was great.
That was really good. Which even like the like special edition Blu-ray version of this looks like a Genesis cover,
Hmm.
which was a nice touch.
It's really it's a it's great fan service.
It is. It is. Like it's a small thing, but it was cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
I noticed that when they showed it, I was like, ah, that's cool. which
That was pretty
kids
fun.
wouldn't get that.
God, that's oh man,
You good?
that just makes me feel old.
The kids wouldn't get that.
Yeah,
I mean, they wouldn't unless they
I
have like.
know, but also it makes me feel old.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Meh.
Wah.
But yeah, there's definitely a butt ton of references throughout this movie
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of them we're going to skip over just because we're going to forget because there's so many.
There's so many. Like I said,
Yeah,
like most of the script is references.
yeah,
Um, so do we want to do like a quick and dirty of like the plot?
sure.
All right. So this is very much following off the first film where Robotnik has been thrown to a mushroom planet.
Hmm.
And he is on said mushroom planet trying to make tea or coffee or he's trying to make
He's trying to make mushrooms into a drinkable beverage.
and failing miserably.
Hmm.
Um, and he's plotting his revenge on one Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hmm.
Um, Also, Sonic has kind of decided that he's like Batman.
Yes.
Like the entire opening sequence is him like trying to thwart like a bank robbery essentially, or like a bank truck robbery.
Hmm.
And like even the hostage is like, dude, you're terrible at this. You need to stop. What are you doing? Please let me
Yeah.
go. Like he blows up an entire city block and ends up disassembling the car, and the money is all over the place. And he's like, aha, I did the thing. I am the best. And his person's name is Tom.
Yes.
He's like, bruh, I know what you're doing. I saw your stupid fart robot. It didn't work on me.
Should have
Um,
used real farts.
should have used real farts. I don't know how that would have worked, but you should have used real farts. He's like, yeah, like you're still a kid and you have a lot of growing up to do and you got a lot of maturing to do, and this isn't gonna work. Like this
And
is
also, they're doing this on a boat in the middle of a lake fishing.
right. They're fishing, wishing I was fishing. He fell asleep,
Wishing I was fishing,
while they were fishing, fell in the water, and we learned that Sonic can't swim.
which is canon.
It is canon. Um, and he learns that this is a family talk. It's been passed down.
Hmm.
I won't become relevant or anything at any point.
No, 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 no.
No. So Tom and wife, who I forget her
Hang on,
name,
hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. Maddie.
Maddie. They're gonna go to Maddie's sister's wedding in Hawaii.
Correct.
And I believe in the first film it is firmly established that Maddie's sister really hates Tom.
Yeah.
That is doubled here.
Yeah.
And so Sonic gets one of his rings out and becomes an airline TSA person.
And the dog has sunglasses on.
Real cool. And sends them off to Hawaii to go do their wedding party thing.
Hmm.
Um,
Which was
and
funny because later on he calls Sonic and is like, hey, we're here.
yeah, I was like,
It's
you
like, what?
you literally watch them go through there, and like,
Like, of course you're there.
of course you're there, duh. Um, but yeah, we're leaving the kid alone to party and bubbles and
Boy, does he party by
yeah,
himself and a dog.
yep. Um, so all of that happens. This is where the worst comes up. In a
Hmm.
phone call where Tom's like, "Hey, we're here. Just want to check on you," and Sonic's like, "Ha ha ha! I'm just sitting here watching TV. It's all good." Um. Meanwhile, Mister Doctor Robotnik, has he was attacked by some folks
Hmm.
on the Mushroom Planet, and one of them ended up being Knuckles.
The echidna.
Yeah, the Echidna, and Knuckles and Dr. Robotnik are like, what if we team up? That'd be cool. Um,
Nothing bad's gonna happen in that.
no, nothing bad. And so this allows Robotnik to use the rings to get back to Earth so he can get his revenge on Sonic, which Knuckles also wants revenge on Sonic because of a a war between the owls and his people.
Yeah, because like the echidnas had the emerald,
Yeah,
and then the owls are like, nah, we can't have some person holding this. That's real messed up.
too
We gotta stop
powerful.
this. So they take it away from them, and then they've been going to war with each other for like centuries or whatever. And the echidnas were responsible for the owl dying and everything. So like that's how Sonic knows about them and everything. And
But also Knuckles'
Knuckles,
dad died the same time.
yeah, and Knuckles essentially thinks that Sonic's the key to finding the Master Emerald.
Yep.
So that's why he came along with Robotnik to do all this jazz.
Um, I think that you could boil down Knuckles' character to big dumb energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not done in a way that it's like horrible. And he does have moments where you're like, oh, okay, this is fine. Like he gets that one moment where he's like super defiant on the side of the cliff, and he's like, oh, never mind, these are stairs. This is good. This is fine. Um, he's just naive, I guess is a good word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Naive and angry.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's teamed up with Robotnik and does not see how that could possibly go wrong. Um, so Robotnik shows up and blows apart the house with Knuckles, who like punches Sonic through a TV and a wall. And Sonic is kind of getting his butt whooped. And
He also mentions to Sonic at this point that like, oh, you're untrained, so you're not gonna be able to beat me.
yep, yep, which is, a thing that happens in some movies like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Meanwhile, we also see one Tails running around looking for somebody. He steals a cop car.
Yes. And then runs over Knuckles.
And then runs over Knuckles, throws him into a shed. And this is where we're talking about from the cold open. Tails woke up, and Tails chooses to repeatedly choose violence throughout this entire film. I think if you were to ask who is the most violent character besides Dr. Robotnik in this movie,
It's Knuckles. Not Knuckles, it's Tails,
it's
sorry.
it's Tails. Tails is violent. But yeah, he did run over Knuckles. And he was asking Sonic, like, do you trust me? He's like, no, I literally just met you. Why would I trust you? He's like, get in anyway. I don't care. Um, so yeah, Tails can drive police cars apparently. But Tails is gonna help Sonic find the emerald. And I guess Robotnik ends up going back to his old pal. Which I didn't realize when the movie opened, he had a rock named Stone. And apparently his assistant is also named Stone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he was actually doing, was remaking his assistant. I didn't realize that until later.
And he carved a face into that stone.
Yeah, he did. Um, so yeah, they plot and they're basically like, yo, so we're gonna help this weird angsty child here find this emerald, right? Yeah, totally gonna help him. Not gonna steal it for ourselves or anything. Let's
Wink.
go. Um, and so Sonic just like pulls out a map and is like, by the way, I have this thing. Do you think it'll help us? And it like starts glowing, and I don't remember what even activated that, but
He just pulls out and is like, oh, let me touch the gym right here. Like, whoa.
whoa.
Ski whoa.
So they gotta go to Siberia.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're like, oh, we're gonna walk through the snow, even though I'm Sonic the Hedgehog and you are Tails the Tails man.
which I discovered he's a fox. and you made fun of me for being a fake Tails fan.
Yeah,
As I mentioned earlier, Tails is my favorite Sonic character, period. So I was real jazzed this whole time, and he's so cute this whole movie, even when he's violent. Um, but yeah, they go to Siberia, and they end up getting into a dance battle at one point.
that was interesting because they basically like, they go to this Russian bar, right?
Yep.
And
Sonic's like,
they
everybody on Earth is friendly. It'll be fine.
and it was not
It
fine
was not fine.
because Tails' translator is not translating correctly, and then he finds like this word is like, oh, this will fix our problem, and like they all part their ways, and it looks like he's gonna like this MMA looking dude
Yeah,
in a like a suede tracksuit
it's hideous.
walks up and like says the word, and then they start just doing a dance battle.
Yeah,
And he also has a tattoo of himself on his chest, T-posing to assert dominance.
which is pretty cool.
It's pretty funny.
Um, yeah, so Sonic and Tails try and like mimic the Russian dance and then realize like, oh God, we're terrible at this. We're gonna lose. Which is when Uptown Funk happens.
Yes.
And also colored lights everywhere, which I don't know where they came from, but anyway, they win the dance battle. Yay. They don't get thrown into a fire. Yay. Um, and then they find this like old Indiana Jones temple. And there's a video game puzzle in it.
Yeah.
And they find a compass. Um, and I think this is where we actually get like the backstory of the emerald. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think so. Um, anyway, so Robotnik and Knuckles are like, "Hey, what's up? We found you." Um, and they end up doing a whole thing. Um, they have there's this moment here where it seems like Knuckles is like trying to understand Sonic's perspective and like get along with him ish, but then Tails
Mm-hmm.
once again chooses violence and ruins everything by like basically electrocuting it. Thanks, Tails.
Thanks, Tails.
He's like, all right, time for violence. Let's go. Um, so then we get to like snowboard, right?
Snowboarding around at the speed of sound.
God.
So yeah, they do a bunch of snowboarding, and the drones are all fighting them and everything, and then they get to a point where like Sonic could get thrown off a mountain, and I think that's when Knuckles tells him his deeply traumatic backstory and
Oh,
everything.
right.
And then Sonic's like, "Yeah, I understand how you feel," and then Tails hits him with a counterattack, like a sneak attack, and he's like, "You tricked me! How dare you!"
That's when he chose violence.
Yeah, and then that's why Sonic's like, "No, no, 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 no!"
That's not what nope.
And
Sorry.
then Tails gets knocked out, and then they have to basically. That's when they have to call up Tom and be like, "Hey, you need to get the ring and get us out of here. It's bad."
Which he had done a little trick earlier with the wedding rings.
Which again, why were they? Why did they have the wedding rings out and about just with this girl just being like, "Hey, look, I got the wedding rings."
Yeah, that was a terrible idea.
It's like, what are you doing?
But he switched them out, so he has to ruin the wedding in order to go and get the ring, and he basically throws it just in time, and like the entire avalanche comes through the wedding. By the way, this is after he was told like, do not ruin this wedding for me. I will basically murder you in your sleep. Um and her like fiance even like threatened him at one point. It was really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now everybody's here, which this is where we hear the ringtone because his phone starts ringing in the middle of the wedding, and Sonic eventually sends a message like, by the way, you need to answer, this is an emergency. Um
So he's like, "Okay, I'll go answer this. It's emergency."
yeah, there is now snow everywhere in Hawaii. It'll melt fast at least.
Yeah,
Um
that's true.
Tails is still unconscious, so that's bad. Um, Knuckles is still like intrigued-ish by like Sonic saving Tails.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, okay, odd. Anyway, so now they're in Hawaii. Um, and we get the reveal of like, by the way, everybody at this wedding basically they're undercover agents.
For the new agency that they made after the first movie called Gun.
Gun, Guardian Units of Nations,
Gun.
and,
And they're like gun, and they're like, yeah, gun.
gun. Um, so Sonic, Tails, and Tom are all like caged up and taken hostage or whatever you want to call a prisoner. Um, Maddie's like, yo, I gotta go save my husband and my kid. And her sister is like, I'm gonna murder somebody because they ruined my wedding and I am very violent and I am ready to go. Let's murder them. Let's take them down. Like
She woke up and chose violence.
she definitely woke up and chose violence. Her and Tails would get along.
Well, she did take all those weapons from Tails' backpack, so
Oh, that's the funny thing is that Maddie's running around with Tails' tiny little backpack. Like
it's like pulling out little weapons. Like, what does this do? Like, I don't know. We'll figure it out, I guess.
and there's one scene with the sister Rachel where the agent has like a taser gun and tases her fiance,
Mm-hmm.
and then he like points it at her and she pulls out Tails' little gun. He's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. He's like, well, how do you know that's even real? And she shoots something and it blows up. She's like,
The ice
oh,
sculpture.
oh, right, the ice sculpture. Oh God, that ice sculpture is creepy. She's like, it's real. Look at that. And then both
And
of
he's like, okay, never mind.
never mind.
Which I always thought was weird that like all those agents and everything, they just ran around with tasers, which I guess they probably just didn't want to have like guns in
Guns
a children's movie.
besides Tails' actual gun.
Yeah.
Although I do find it funny that Tails has an actual gun. It's just a cutesy-fied gun.
Tails is a violent creature.
Very violent, very, very violent. Yeah, so they're able to save the day. There's also a sequence of like her questioning the fiance of like, was any of this real? Like, it's pretty messed up to go through this whole thing of like faking a wedding and faking all this, and like there's even a part where she talks about body waxing, which I was like, this is a children's movie.
She was like, yeah, was the lady who waxed me down there?
And I was like, oh my God, we're talking about, oh my. Um, if I remember correctly, they like get back together.
Yeah, because he broke the one cardinal rule of being an undercover agent.
He fell in love.
Falling in love. We were both like, I don't think that's the one rule.
Yeah, I don't think
or
that's
the number one rule.
I don't think that's the number one rule at all. But yeah, he did fall in love. So I don't know. Maybe her waxing job will come in handy. We'll see.
There you
Oh,
go.
I hope we don't see, but um, I hope for her sake that it turns out okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, with the actual plot, there's this like giant, again, Indiana Jones-ish temple, but also like kind of like the weird labyrinths in Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
This is massive thing, and Knuckles is kind of like barreling through it and setting off all of the traps and robots.
Which conveniently is also in Hawaii.
Yes, also in Hawaii. Convenient. Robotnik at one point is like, bro, if you'd stop just going full speed,
Work smarter, not harder.
we can figure this out and we can get to where we need to be without doing all this stuff.
So he does. He brings out like a drone that like
Is it
scans everything and gives
GPS?
them GPS and everything, like, and gives him like a map of the area and everything to lead them to where they need to go.
They also
And
make a joke
then-
about balls at one point.
Yes.
When the door shuts and he says like 1, 2, or
I think he was saying his legs, but they're also like they're on the ground with their legs up in a V position. That it also could definitely be construed as balls.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It could be either one. Um. Anyway, what were you saying?
What was I saying?
We're
Um,
talking about the temple in Hawaii.
yeah. So eventually, like Sonic figures out because there's a green light emanating from it, and he has to run across the water like he's a Jesus,
Jesus, which
and
I made a joke about
struggles.
Moses.
He struggles because there's waves and stuff. It's not just a
Fla-
flat surface of water.
Right.
But eventually, he basically just washes up ashore on that island, and it's like, okay, I guess I'll go to this not island, but the maze temple thing, and then just essentially he just runs through it.
Yeah, he just cheats basically.
And
Nyom.
they eventually get to like the main corridor where the emerald is, and they do a little fighting.
Little fighting.
Little fighting.
Sonic and Knuckles do some fighting, and meanwhile, Robotnik's like, "What if I would just take this emerald for myself?" And Sonic's like, "Dude, Knuckles, look, he's taking the thing. He's taking it.
Sneaky, sneaky.
He's taking it. He's betraying you."
He's like, "What? Why would you do this? We were partners." And Robotnik's like, "Oh, you were dumb.
Yeah, no,
Why would you think I was going to actually partner with you? You dumb."
no, goodbye. Um, there is a part where like the temple starts like breaking to
Because
pieces, and
yeah, because Robotnik basically uses the power of the emerald to become super robotic, essentially,
yeah,
and falls away. And then that's when the temple starts collapsing.
and like
Collapsing.
Knuckles gets trapped under
The
under a
pillar.
pillar underwater, and Sonic like goes under. This was a good reference actually. Sonic goes under the water and like at one point sucks in an air bubble. I was like, oh, that's a good touch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're able to free him, but then again, Sonic can't swim, so he just kind of sinks. And then he wakes up and he's like, ah, I'm alive. Knuckles, you saved me. Why would you do that?
And Knuckles just on the beach
And
brooding.
he's like, why would you save me to begin with?
Well, well, you saved me, and I don't want to owe you anything. So I figured this would be the easiest way to do this.
Yep.
So we're even.
Yep. They're all dirty at this point.
They really love to use their dirt tech in this movie.
Yeah, and sand everywhere. Where's Anakin? Sorry. Um,
Surprised that wasn't a reference.
yeah, for real. Um, so yeah, they're on the beach. They're I guess have their understanding of each other at this point because they saved each other, and also they realize that Robotnik is the bigger threat because he stole the
Mm-hmm.
thingy.
This is
Tails,
also where Sonic brings back the family talk
the
and
family
just
talk.
re-gives it to Knuckles in this case.
Yep. And he's like, oh yes, that's a Wachowski special right there.
And then that's when Tails comes in on an airplane. And is like, "Hey, let's go."
I'm so glad that they had the plane. Yay!
Yeah, that was real good.
Yay! So he does question Sonic. He's like, so why is this guy here? This seems like a bad idea.
Knuckles is like, "I could hear you."
Yeah, I'm right here, man. Come on. Um,
Sonic's like, "He's not that bad of a guy. Don't
he's
worry."
all right. He's all right. He's good. Um, also, you apparently just don't shake hands with him.
Because he just breaks your
He
hand.
just breaks your hand.
If only Robotnik had not told him that, hey, you squeeze hard on that handshake.
Yep. I was worried when they do the fist bump later. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna murder their hands. But
It would have been funny if like he does it and they just went pew,
Yep.
flying.
yep. I was expecting something, but it didn't happen.
It was a very constrained
It was.
fist bump.
He's pals now. So I guess we go back to Green Hills. The dumb cop man is questioning Stone with a fake bagel and asking for information. Also Gunge.
I didn't know if they were also like making a Reservoir Dogs reference in this.
I don't know.
Because he has him tied up and it's a cop and he has the knife.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was the way they like framing that scene. It felt very much like that. But then it was like, how would you like your bagel? And he's like, that's a prop bagel.
Yeah. And he
And
tries
then
to
tries
bite
to eat it.
it.
It's like, Oh, hey, you're right.
Sure is a prop bagel. Um, but yeah, like he's holding the knife, and then like you look closer, and you're like, oh, that's just a butter knife.
Yeah.
So it might have been a reference. I don't know. Um, but Stone is loyal to the end, and
Mm-hmm.
has strange attachment issues.
Yes.
Um, and we'll never tell anything. And Gunn shows up with like um tanks
Well,
and
they do that after Robotnik shows up.
sure, yeah, you're right. Robotnik's like,
Because Robotnik shows back
hi.
up, like transports in, he's able to teleport now, and also he makes the cop like he's like, sit in the chair, sit down.
Yep.
And he does like the sitting squat. And then he's like, no, he like uncuffs Stone. And it's like, Stone gets up. He's like, sit in the chair. He's like, oh, I didn't know because he was sitting in the chair this time. So
It
I
was
didn't know.
unclear.
I didn't,
Unclear.
yeah, it was unclear.
I forgot
But yeah,
about that.
then like Gunn shows up with like their bajillion tanks and everything. And Robotnik's like, yeah, this doesn't phase me. I'm more high powered now than any of you are. And just starts dismantling all of their equipment, like
With his brain.
bit by bit,
Yep.
and then builds a giant robot,
Shaped like Fat Robotnik.
which I thought was very good.
That was very good. That was very, very good. And also, plays metal music. They don't even say what it is. They're just like metal. Like 10 seconds of it. 10
I was like,
seconds.
all right, we're gonna hear Pantera now.
Woo!
That's the wrong Pantera song I was doing, by the way, but it still works.
It's still the same band. It's fine.
Yeah.
So now the three pals and also Tom and Maddie, since they're the parents, are going to try and fight Robotnik.
Mm-hmm.
It initially goes horribly.
Yes.
Absolutely terrible.
Sonic gets beat up.
And then at one point, like Robotnik and his big robot is like going to step on them.
Mm-hmm.
And Sonic has the emerald because Tails ends up being like the distraction and Knuckles like fights.
Punches him, yeah. Knocks the emerald out of him.
Yeah. But then it splits up and Sonic's like, oh no, this is bad. This is very bad. And they're about to get stomped on because they have a Jeep with no doors and it was unsafe and they all like crawled out of it. And just as they're about to get stomped on, Jared, what happens?
Meow.
He turns into Goku.
Meow.
Meow.
But they don't say he's Goku.
He's not Goku. He's I guess Supersonic is that one, I suppose.
Yes. Cuz yeah, he basically the big emerald breaks up into the Chaos Emeralds.
Yes.
And then the Chaos Emeralds like work with him and that turns him into Supersonic.
So he destroys everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. And he's super Saiyan Sonic. And
yeah, basically.
after he wins, there's this whole thing of like Knuckles being like, no, you can't go to him. He's no longer the Sonic that you knew. And Super Sonic like puts his arm up and there's a big storm and then a chili dog appears. He's like, never mind, he is the exact same Sonic that you knew.
Yep, that's him.
And
he also drops a chili dog on Knuckles as well.
He sure does, all over him. And then he sends the emeralds away. Goodbye. Now I'm normal Sonic.
Just like the Dragon Balls, they split off into all the parts of the world. Now they have to go find them again someday.
He looks better in blue anyway, he says. So the master emerald is fixed and
somehow
and the three of them decide like we are going to be the new guardians of this, like the people before us.
Yeah.
And so I guess Maddie and Tom just have two new children now.
Yeah, basically. Also, this is when they do the triangle power bump.
Oh yeah, they do the triangle power bump. I was so worried for them. I was so worried for them.
It's pretty good.
So yeah, it's a mess, and then they go and play baseball.
Yes.
And
They teach Knuckles how to play baseball, and he's like, "Why do I hit this thing with a stick? What is the stick for?
I am so confused. Uh,
What is my motivation for this?"
um, Something funny happens here, and I forgot what it was. You're like, that should always happen in baseball, but Tails is also just like ready to go. Um, but Knuckles punches the ball.
Yeah, it was Knuckles punching the ball.
Yeah, and Tails is like, wait a minute, that's against the rules. That shouldn't count. That shouldn't count.
I mean, that is technically illegal.
It is.
He punches the ball through the scoreboard and gets a home run, quote unquote.
And then they're gonna go get like ice cream or something. I don't remember.
What is this ice cream you speak of?
I love that there's like they just play one single thing of baseball.
It's one at bat, and then they're like, "Okay, well, we lost the ball, so that's it. We're
Let's
done."
go. And we get like a mid-credit scene.
Oh man, hang on.
Okay, sorry.
But then also, when they're doing that, Sonic calls Tom Dad, and he has to go also get the Master Emerald from their cooler because they almost forget it,
Oh right, I forgot about the cooler part. Oh, that's a terrible thing.
which was very dumb and good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get
He does
the
call him
mid credit.
Dad.
We get a mid credit scene where the gun people are like, "Hey, we found this thing that Robotnik had been hiding. And it's also got this thing that like has files from 50 years ago that we thought were missing."
Also, there's no way Robotnik survives through this thing. There's
Yeah,
no
he's definitely
way.
dead.
Definitely
Wink.
dead.
Wink. And then they literally go like down underground into like this very high tech room, and you just see like a capsule slide down, and who's there?
We both thought it was gonna be Metal Sonic.
We did, and then nope, it's one Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow the Hedgehog is here.
Ah.
I cannot believe.
It's so funny.
Oh man. So you ready for a super edgy new Sonic when Sonic 3 comes out?
I can't wait for Shadow to come out of his capsule and break stuff by Limp Bizkit plays.
I mean, honestly, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me.
It's just one of those days.
Just one of those days. Yeah, I totally expected Metal Sonic, and that is not what I got at all.
No, we got better. This is way funnier than if it was Metal Sonic.
No, you're right. It is totally funnier. I completely agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how the movie ends, and it's it was fine. I definitely liked the first one better.
Yeah, I think so too.
I was super excited about Tails. Tails is adorable this whole movie, even though Tails also chooses violence the whole movie.
That was also pretty good.
That was pretty good. I love that Tails is legitimately like one of the most violent characters in this entire movie. But there's also like a whole thing of like Tails is rejected by his people because he has two tails, and how like Sonic at one point calls him a friend, and he's like, I have a friend now? Friends? So you have this weird trifecta of like goofy friends with Sonic and Tails and Knuckles at this point. Man. What do you think generally?
Yeah, I think the same as you. Like, I think it wasn't necessarily as good as the first one. I think it still is a fun movie.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm glad we didn't pay money for it, but I mean, I technically paid money for it, but I'm glad we didn't like go to a theater and spend money on it.
Right. Like, I think just there's some choices in here that I think are a little bit questionable in terms of like some of the writing and everything, but like overall, I mean, it's
what you would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a kids movie at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So there is that. Yeah, there is also some info about how earlier this year that Jim Carrey was apparently considering retiring.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
From acting, and the producers basically said that like, hey, if he's done, we're not going to recast Robotnik. We're just going to move on from him.
Where did you see that?
It's at the very bottom of the Wikipedia page.
The very bottom. Oh, the future section?
Correct.
Ah, nahone. Um, do you really think Jim Carrey's gonna retire from acting?
No.
I don't either. And I mean
Jim
they
Carrey's a carny. He's not gonna go out that quickly.
I think that's a really good description of Jim Carrey is he's a carny.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean they open it up so that like if if he does want to come back, he can come back, but if he doesn't, like they can just write it off as like, oh, he actually, did die in that thing and like I don't know, Stone takes over or something, who knows.
Hmm.
Um like they left it open enough that they could handle it
Yeah.
if he does decide that he's done with his carny days.
Although, like, the way he described, like, how much fun he had with, like, this role and stuff, like, maybe he would just do, like, stuff like this and, just, like, take a much smaller schedule, per se, than doing more movies or something of that nature.
All right, this is gonna sound really dumb,
Okay.
but what else is Jim Carrey doing these days?
I don't know. Let's take a look. How many movies is he doing on average recently? Da, 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 da,
Oh my
da.
God, this
Oh, artwork and
quote.
NFTs. Great.
In April 2022, Carey announced he was considering retiring from the movie making industry, explaining, quote, I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough, end quote.
Oh, I guess, like, the last film he had done before Sonic the Hedgehog 2
Mm-hmm.
was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And the last films he had done previous to that were in 2016.
Wow.
So he's just not doing a whole lot.
Yeah. When asked if he would ever come back, his response was, quote, it depends. If the Angels bring some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see, I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break, end quote.
Homie, you've been taking a break.
Also, like, Jim Carrey, are you okay?
No. Definitely not.
Okay, well, you know what? I just read the next sentence and very much not okay. Carrie suffers from depression and has taken Prozac to combat the symptoms. Symptoms. He has stated that he no longer takes medications or stimulants of any kind, including coffee. Like, I don't know. I'm a big proponent of if you have depression, medication is a good thing for that. Just saying, homie. Um, can confirm medication works. But I mean, yeah, if he wants to quit, he wants to quit. I mean, he's been doing it for a while. He's like what, my mom's age-ish?
Um,
Like 60?
exactly right.
Oh, heck yeah. Nailed it. Um, so like he's been doing it a while, but I mean, the carny campiness of this he fits really well. I
Yeah.
have a lot of um thoughts trademark about Jim Carrey,
Mm-hmm.
but like he does fine in these movies and I can't like fault him for that. I'm glad they didn't do the fat suit though. That would have been a problem.
I'm surprised they didn't.
I am also surprised, but maybe they decided that like a mushroom planet he wouldn't have been able to put on all the weight.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just glad because I find fat suits problematic.
Right, 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 right.
um but they did really nail the crazy mustache though.
They did, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I am disappointed though because one of my favorite memes on the internet is this video of a guy dressed as Robotnik um dancing to Rasputin.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, the opportunity was there. You had Robotnik in Russia and you didn't take it.
Shame.
Maybe just Jim Carrey didn't want to dance.
He's old.
Okay. I mean, he's not gonna like break a hip trying to dance to Rasputin.
You never know.
It is one of my favorite memes, though. Whenever I'm feeling really, really sad, I just go and watch that. It's one of a few things that I watch on the regular. I bet you could probably guess what the rest of them are, but maybe other people couldn't.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, do you have any closing thoughts about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the film?
He's Sonic.
He is Sonic. They're
Shadow's coming.
Tails.
Shadow is coming.
Um, Knuckles has oven mitts. The
Yes.
worst.
The worst.
Good. All right, so does that wrap this up?
I believe it wraps this up.
Okay. Well, I have to remember the closing now. If you would like more from us, you can go to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool. There are columns and what's the other thing you say?
Reviews.
Reviews, columns and reviews on there. If you would like to find me, you can find me at anladium.com. There are columns and reviews there. You can follow us on Patreon. I don't remember what that one is.
Patreon.com/SACOVA.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, you can buy us a slice of pizza. We would really enjoy that. Um, you can buy our books on Amazon.com. You have this down way better than I do.
I've also been saying it for almost 300 episodes,
Yep, yep,
so
yep. So that's One Shining Moment, a critical analysis of Love Live Sunshine, or Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. You can buy either of those books.
I would hope you know the cover or the title of your book.
Well, I didn't say the whole thing, but you don't either. Um, is that it? Did I go through all the things?
I believe that's it.
All right, next week. Next week.
I don't know.
It's gonna be a weird week for me.
Yeah, we're gonna try and do something easy-ish.
Easy-ish. Hopefully, Jared is feeling better by then and
That would
less
be
less
nice.
under the weather. I would
Yeah.
appreciate him being not sick, because I don't like when my friend is sick.
And also, you don't want to have to be the lead of a podcast.
I mean, I think I did okay.
No, you did. You did really good.
I think I did okay. Y'all have to just deal with me filling in for a minute. Um, but hopefully Jared's feeling better. Hopefully, since I have to wake up at 5 a.m. that day, that we can um not suffer too badly and do
Yeah, we'll just find something easy to do next week.
yeah. Um, so that's all I've got.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.